What's going on, guys? Austin Zabak here, and in today's video we're gonna jump right into it again, okay? If you're new to my channel, I really appreciate you being here. I don't want to waste any of your time, and I want to talk to you about how to build wealth as a teenager. And if you're a teenager right now, you might be watching the video and you're like, Austin, I just want to have a good time, right? I just want to have fun. I want to go out with my friends. I want to play video games. I just want to go, maybe I want to go party, whatever the case is. And I just want to encourage you that you can still have fun as a teenager and build wealth over the long haul. I totally get it. I've been there before, right? I've been 18 years old. I've been 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 years old where, my friends are out partying. They're having a good time. They're having fun. They're out doing whatever. And, you kind of almost have FOMO, right? FOMO, stands for fear of missing out. And, you really don't know what to do, right? Because you want to go have fun, but at the same time, you see people on Instagram, you see people on TikTok and even YouTube and different social media platforms that are living the dream. And maybe they're 3 years older, 4, 5, 10 years older than you. And someday down the line, right, you want to live like them. But at the same time, you also want to have a great time right now, right? You want to enjoy yourself. You want to have a good childhood, and I totally get it. So in this video, if you stay to the very end, I'm going to show you how you can not only have a good time right now, but you can also plan and strategically set up your future to eventually build wealth. Because the reality of it is, and you may or may not want to hear this, but you're going to get older one day, and I don't want you to be a part of the statistic, right? And the statistics in America aren't that great at the end of the day, okay? The statistics are this: 20% of Americans don't save any of their annual income. 50% of American households live paycheck to paycheck, and only 32% of US families maintain a household budget, and Americans hold a total of $1 trillion in credit card debt. So you're a teenager right now. Maybe you're even a little bit older, by the way. This video is still for you, but the reality is, the statistics aren't great, right? It doesn't paint a pretty picture because Americans really don't understand finances, right? Americans, for the most part, are not financially literate. So I've gone to multiple different people over the last couple of years and I've said, hey, if you could go back in time to the day you turned 18 or 19 or 20 or whatever, and you could do it all over again, what would you do differently? And these are people that have a lot of money, don't have a lot of money, and are right in between. And the answer is actually fairly common throughout. They wish they would have started learning financial literacy sooner, right? They wish they would have learned, how to make money, how to save money, and how to invest their money at a much younger age. Because as you get older, it only gets more complicated because you end up having a family eventually. You have a boyfriend, you have a girlfriend, you have people and responsibilities that you have to take care of, right? And it only gets harder because at that point in time, you're just trying to pay the bills, right? And you can't not pay the bills, so you can't afford to take a lot of risk, right? You can't go out into the world and take risk. It becomes a lot more difficult at the end of the day, and I can't speak 100% on that behalf because I don't have a family yet, I don't have kids, but I have a lot of people in my inner circle that do, and they're strapped, right? They can't do a whole heck of a lot because they work a 9 to 5 to pay the bills, right? And they can't afford to take a bunch of risk. One of the first things that I would do as a teenager in order to build long-term wealth, if you're watching the video and you're 18, 19, 20, whatever age you are, but especially if you're younger, okay? The day you turn 18, the number one thing that you should do is to go out and to get a credit card. And there's a lot of amazing credit cards out there. If you're a beginner, if you're just getting started in building your credit, I know Wells Fargo has a couple of good beginner credit cards, also Capital One, also Discover, okay? But definitely do your homework to figure out who has the best credit card for a beginner. So just to kind of break down why you should go out and build your credit immediately and how this will help you build wealth is because over the long haul, once you have credit history, it will show the world that you're responsible with your money, and people eventually will loan you money so that you can take their money and make more money. And you'll learn about that, definitely later on in life, but it is very important that you go ahead and establish good credit early on because the longer the credit history, the better. Think of it as almost kind of a report card, right? In school, you have a report card and it kind of tells you, are you a good student? Are you a bad student? Are you good at math? Are you good at science? Are you good at history? You know, what are you good at and what are you bad at, right? And you get tested on that stuff, okay? And credit is almost very similar to that. If at the end of the day, if you have bad credit, it means that you're not good with money. If you have good credit, it means that you are good with money. It's kind of a report card for life, okay? Now, the biggest thing to keep in mind here is you don't want to just go get a credit card and spend a bunch of money. The one thing that I would do if I was just getting started as a teenager trying to build wealth is I would get a credit card, right? And it could be a secured credit card or an unsecured credit card. A secured credit card is where you actually have to give the bank money and then they'll give you a line of credit in the same amount that you gave them, right? But you can prove over time that you make your payments on time and that you're responsible with that money, and eventually they'll give you the money back. Which of course, when they give you the money back, or if you don't have to do that to begin with, is when it becomes an unsecured credit card. So in a nutshell, you want to always make your payments on time. That is a very big factor when it comes to building your credit, right? You want to make your payments on time. You want to have a big enough credit history, right? A long credit history, which is why you should do this right out of the gate. And another really big one is obviously credit utilization, which kind of leads me to what I was talking about, which is where if there isn't something that you weren't planning on buying otherwise, don't buy it on a credit card just because you have a credit card, okay? That is not the way to do it, right? The way to do it is to only buy something that you would have otherwise bought regardless. You would have went ahead and slid your debit card, you would have paid cash for it, but instead you go ahead and slide your credit card. So what you want to do is you want to buy things that you would have bought regardless, right? So whatever you would have paid cash for, whatever you would have slid your debit card for, you want to go ahead and take that money, right? And just pay the balance off on your credit card after you slide your credit card instead, okay? Therefore, proving to the bank, right? Proving to kind of the world that you're responsible with your money. And again, building credit is extremely important if you want to build wealth in your teens, because the day is going to come where maybe you want to go ahead and you want to buy a house, you want to buy a rental property, you want to buy a multi-family property, and right now you might be watching the video and you're like,
Austin, I have no interest in ever getting into real estate.
But I promise you the day will come where you want to go make an investment, right? And you want to buy an income producing asset, because at the end of the day, eventually you want to buy assets over liabilities, and those cost money, right? And you'll want the banks and the people and members of society to lend you the money, and you'll want to get a very good interest rate. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is if you have a good credit score. So the second thing that I would do if I was a teenager trying to build wealth is I would go ahead and I would start to dabble in business. I would dabble a little bit in entrepreneurship. And even if you're going to college or you're in school, you know, and you're going to be a doctor, you're going to be a lawyer, you're going to be a nurse, you're going to be, you know, an engineer, whatever it is, I would go ahead and I would have a side hustle, right? I would dabble in business. I would dabble in entrepreneurship. And the reason why is because, again, you're young. You don't have any responsibilities. You don't have a family to take care of. You don't have anybody to kind of really look after. So you can actually run the little bit of risk of failure, right? It isn't the end of the world if you end up actually failing. And you really want to keep that in mind when you're a teenager, right? You know, there isn't a lot of risk. And that is the beautiful thing about being young, is you can take bigger risks than a lot of other people because you are young. You can fail. It isn't the end of the world, right? You've got a long life to live. And I encourage you to dabble a little bit, right? And there are so many businesses that you can start as a teenager, right? You can start a car wash business, a lawn mowing business, a pool cleaning company. You can go ahead and you can start to really do anything, right? You can start a YouTube channel, become a social media influencer. You can run ads for local businesses and become like an SMMA company, right? There are a lot of different things that you should definitely look into that you can start as a teenager. The third thing you've got to do right away if you're a teenager and you want to build wealth over the long haul is you've got to start to invest early on, right? You cannot wait to start investing your money. I see so many people out there that just save money. They save money. They save money all the time. And I'm like, what are you doing, right? Why are you just saving to save? Now, I'm about having an emergency fund. Don't get me wrong. I always think you should have an emergency fund. I always think you should have a little bit of cash in the bank. And I never think that you should just, spend all of your money. That is not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is start investing young. So if you were 18 years old and you took $500 and you put $500 into some form of investment that would get you about a 7% annual return, and you continued to put $100 a month into that account, whatever that was, in 47 years, okay, AKA by the time you were 65 years old, with just $500 initially and $100 a month, you would have $407,000 saved up. And if you did the exact same thing, but you waited till you were 30 to start investing, you put an initial $500 in and $100 a month, by the time you were 65, you'd only have $171,000, okay? So it makes a world of difference if you go ahead and you start young. And there are a million things that you can go ahead and start investing in, okay? You can go ahead and you can open up a Robinhood account, a Webull account, a TD Ameritrade account. Go get a Vanguard account. Open up, some sort of Roth IRA and start contributing to a Roth IRA over the long haul, right? You can go ahead and you can start investing like a crowdfunding real estate platform, or maybe, just maybe, if you're 18 years old, okay, you can go ahead and actually buy a rental property. You can buy a duplex, a triplex, a quadplex. You can even do what they call house hacking, and ultimately you can live in one of the units, rent out the other units, and pay the mortgage, so you're gaining equity over the long haul while depreciating the asset and making a bunch of money, okay? Building wealth. Again, this is very simple stuff, and I encourage you, obviously, to do your due diligence. I'm not giving you, necessarily investing or financial advice. I always would suggest that you go ahead and consult with your attorney, with your accountant, the whole thing. But at the end of the day, these are just things that if I could go back and do it all over again, I would have started a lot earlier, ideally the day I turned 18 years old. And not that I didn't start when I was 18, I did. I think I could have done it even better, okay? And I encourage you to be that person, right? To do it even better, so that when you're 25, 35, 45, 55, you can ultimately live a phenomenal life. You can do what you want, when you want, with who you want, wherever you want, okay? That is the beautiful thing about life, and I know for a fact that anybody in the world can do it, okay? Anything the mind can conceive, the mind can achieve. You just have to put your mind to it. You've got to start young. Again, don't have FOMO. You're not missing out on anything, okay? I promise you, you're not. And, start investing early. Do the things that we talked about. Build your credit, okay? Do whatever you have to do to ultimately start now, right? Be smart, okay? Don't buy things you cannot afford, and ultimately, you will thank me later. Now, I would really appreciate it if you took just a quick minute, if you're brand new to my channel especially, just to take a quick minute and smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Also, if you haven't already, I would appreciate it if you just subscribe to my YouTube channel, comment down below what you like, what you don't like. If you kind of like this style of video, I know it's a little bit off the cuff, but sometimes that's a little bit more authentic anyways, so let me know if you liked it. I would greatly appreciate it, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video.